I pressed my ear against the guest bedroom door, my heart hammering so hard I was certain they'd hear it through the walls. My son's voice drifted through the crack, low and conspiratorial. The money transfer goes through Friday. Once we have the 300 grand, we move to phase 2. Phase 2. The words made my blood run cold. My daughter-in-law Stephanie's voice joined his. You're absolutely sure your father won't figure it out? He worked for the FBI for 30 years, Marcus. Dad's 67 and lonely, my son said, and I could hear the smile in his voice. He's so grateful I'm finally paying attention to him that he'd sign anything I put in front of him. Besides, once we drain the investment accounts, we'll have Dr. Reeves declare him mentally incompetent. Can't report fraud if you're not competent to manage your own affairs. I must have made some sound a gasp, maybe, or just the sharp intake of breath that comes when your entire world tilts sideways. Because suddenly, there was silence on the other side of the door. Did you hear something? Stephanie whispered. I moved fast for a man my age, my old training kicking in despite the arthritis in my knees. I was down the hallway and in my office before they opened the door, the sound of my keyboard clicking deliberately casual as I pretended to check email. Dad? Marcus appeared in my doorway, all concern and affection. The same face that used to light up when I came home from work, back when he was 8 and I was his hero. We didn't know you were home. Thought you had that doctor's appointment. Canceled it, I said, keeping my voice steady. 30 years interrogating suspects had taught me how to hide what I was feeling. Didn't feel like dealing with traffic. He studied me for a moment, and I wondered if he could see it the way everything had changed in the last 60 seconds. But I'd spent 3 decades maintaining cover, reading people, knowing when to show nothing. My son had no idea who he was really dealing with. Well, good. Actually, that's perfect timing. He pulled up a chair, his enthusiasm almost convincing. I wanted to go over those investment documents again. The opportunity I told you about? The one in Florida? We really need to move on it soon. The developer is getting other offers. The developer, James Mitchell, supposedly an old friend of Marcus from college. They'd shown me glossy brochures, architectural renderings of luxury condos in Tampa Bay. Pre-construction pricing, they said. Get in early, double your money in 18 months. Maybe triple. I'd been a federal investigator for 3 decades, specializing in financial crimes and fraud. I'd put away Ponzi schemers and con artists who could sell ice to Eskimos. And my own son had almost gotten me. Almost. Let me think about it over the weekend, I said, clicking through my email without really seeing it. 300,000 is a lot to commit to. Dad. Marcus's hand on my shoulder felt like a brand. I know it's scary, but Stephanie and I have already put in 50 grand. My own money. Would I risk that if I wasn't absolutely sure? Yes, I thought. You would. Because 50,000 is nothing compared to 300,000. That's how these things work. The small investment that proves you're committed, that makes the mark me feel like we're in it together. Let me sleep on it, I said. After they left, I sat in my office for a long time, watching the red numbers on my digital clock flip forward 8:47 p.m., 8:48, 8:49. The house my late wife Emma and I had bought 40 years ago felt different now, smaller, colder. Every photo on the wall seemed to mock me birthday parties, graduations, Marcus's wedding 5 years ago. Had he been planning this even then? Or had it been Stephanie's idea? Did it matter? I opened my laptop and started doing what I should have done weeks ago. Background checks. Real ones. Not the cursory Google searches that had turned up a LinkedIn profile and a company website for Mitchell Development Group. I had databases I could still access, contacts in federal agencies who owed me favors. By midnight, I had my answer. James Mitchell was real. He'd gone to college with Marcus. But Mitchell Development Group was registered to a P.O. box in Tampa, had no physical office, no construction permits, no building projects. The architectural renderings were stock photos I found on a commercial real estate website. My son had tried to steal $300,000 from me using a fake investment scheme. And phase 2 having me declared incompetent, that was the genius part. Because if I figured it out and tried to report him, He'd already have medical documentation saying I wasn't of sound mind. Dr. Richard Reeves, according to my search, was a psychiatrist in Nashville with a history of controversial competency evaluations. 2 complaints to the state medical board, both dismissed, both involving elderly patients whose families wanted control of their finances. I should have been angry. Part of me was. But mostly, I just felt empty. Emma had died 3 years ago, a stroke that took her in her sleep. Marcus had barely made it to the funeral, said he couldn't get time off work, and I'd believed him, even though I'd noticed he was driving a new BMW and Stephanie's jewelry kept getting nicer. The loneliness had made me stupid. When Marcus had started calling more often, taking an interest in my life, asking about my retirement accounts and investments, I'd been grateful, relieved. My son wanted me in his life again. I'd wanted to believe it so badly that I'd ignored every instinct I'd developed over 3 decades of investigating criminals. But here's what Marcus didn't know about his old man. I hadn't just investigated fraud. I'd gone undercover, worn wires, built cases that put people away for 20 years. I knew how to gather evidence. I knew how to be patient, and I knew how to make sure that when the trap closed, there was no escape. I opened a drawer in my desk and pulled out a small notebook Emma had given me years ago. "For your memoirs," she'd said, kissing my cheek. I'd never written in it, but now I clicked my pen and started documenting everything. Dates, times, conversations. Every detail I could remember from the last 6 weeks since Marcus had first mentioned the Florida investment. Then I picked up my phone and made 3 calls. The first was to Tom Bradley, who'd been my partner at the FBI for 15 years before he'd retired to start a private investigation firm. "Tom, I need surveillance equipment. Small, undetectable, and I need it yesterday." The second was to Linda Kowalski, the best white-collar defense attorney in Nashville. Her husband had been an agent I'd worked with. "Linda, I need legal advice, and I need you to not ask too many questions yet." The third was to my doctor. "Hey, Steve, I need you to do a full cognitive assessment on me. Memory tests, the works, and I need it documented with today's date." "Gerald, are you okay?" Steve asked. "Is something wrong?" "Just covering my bases," I said. "Call it preventive medicine." By Tuesday morning, Tom had installed 4 pinhole cameras in my house, 1 in my office, 1 in the living room, 1 in the kitchen, and 1 in the hallway. Audio recorders, too, sophisticated enough that they'd hold up in court. My house was wired better than most FBI field offices. Linda had explained the legal framework: financial elder abuse, conspiracy to commit fraud, potentially even attempted guardianship fraud if they followed through with the incompetency plan. Felonies. Serious prison time. She'd prepared paperwork to file the moment I had sufficient evidence. And Steve had given me a full cognitive assessment, perfect score, documented proof, signed and dated, that Gerald Patterson was of completely sound mind on this date. "You sure you don't want to tell me what this is about?" he'd asked. "Not yet," I'd said, "but you'll understand soon." Wednesday afternoon, Marcus came by again. The cameras caught everything. "So, Dad, have you thought more about the Florida opportunity?" He was wearing his good suit, the one he usually saved for client meetings, playing the part of the successful businessman helping his father make smart investments. "I have," I said slowly, "and I want to do it. 300,000, right? From my Fidelity account?" His eyes lit up, actually lit up. If I hadn't known better, if I hadn't heard that conversation through the bedroom door, I would have believed his excitement was genuine. "That's great, Dad. Really great. This is going to change everything for you. For all of us." He pulled out a folder. "I've got all the paperwork here. We just need your signature in a few places, and I'll handle the wire transfer for you. Take all the hassle off your plate." "You're a good son," I said, and watched him barely flinch. I signed everything. Transfer authorizations, investment agreements with Mitchell Development Group, even a limited power of attorney that would let Marcus handle the transaction on my behalf. I watched the cameras record every page, every signature, every reassuring lie Marcus told me. "Now, there is one more thing," he said as I signed the last document. "It's just a formality, but given the size of the investment, we should probably have you see Dr. Reeves." Just a quick evaluation to confirm you understand all this. It protects you, actually, in case anything ever went wrong. Dr. Reeves? I said, letting confusion show on my face. Just a psychiatrist friend of mine. Very quick, very painless. Just wants to make sure you're thinking clearly when making big financial decisions. It's actually a smart thing to do at our age. Our age. He was 39, but I nodded, playing the part. Sure, that makes sense. When? How about Friday? I'll drive you. Perfect, I said. After he left, I sat in my office and watched the footage. Played it back 3 times. Every word, every gesture, every carefully constructed lie was there in high definition. Tom's equipment was excellent, but I needed more. I needed the money actually moving, needed evidence of conspiracy, needed Stephanie on camera too. Most importantly, I needed them to commit to Phase 2, the incompetency declaration. That was what would make this attempted guardianship fraud, which carried heavier penalties. So Thursday morning, I called Marcus. Son, I've been thinking, you and Stephanie have done so much for me with this investment. I want to update my will, make sure you're taken care of properly. Could you both come by tonight? Maybe we could have dinner, go over everything? Dad, that's really generous. Was that guilt I heard in his voice? Just a trace? We'll be there. 6 o'clock? Perfect. I'll order from that Italian place your mother loved. Tom had upgraded the system to include remote access. That evening, Linda and Tom were in Tom's van, 2 blocks away, watching the live feed on monitors. We'd also looped in Detective Sarah Chen, and yes, I smiled at the name because life is funny that way, from the Nashville PD's Financial Crimes Unit. Sarah had worked with me on a case 5 years ago. She was sitting with Tom and Linda, watching everything. Dinner started normally. We ate chicken marsala and made small talk. I asked about their jobs, their friends, their plans for the summer. Played the grateful father, slightly confused, maybe a little bit forgetful. I even called Stephanie by the wrong name once. Sorry, Jennifer. I mean Stephanie, and watched them exchange a quick glance. Dad, about the investment, Marcus started as we cleared the plates. The wire transfer is set for tomorrow, right? After we see Dr. Reeves? Yes, all set. I poured more wine, my hand shaking just slightly. Let them think the old man was nervous, uncertain. I trust you, son. Stephanie touched his arm. Marcus, maybe we should talk about the other thing. Other thing? I said. They exchanged another look, and I could see them making the decision. Marcus took a breath. Dad, we've been worried about you. Since Mom died, you've been different, forgetful, making some questionable decisions. We think, and Dr. Reeves agrees. After we discussed it with him that it might be good for you to have some help managing things. Legal help. I don't understand, I said. A conservatorship, Stephanie said gently. It would just mean Marcus could help you make important decisions, protect you from making mistakes. It's very common for people our age, your age, to have this kind of support. Dr. Reeves hasn't even evaluated me yet, I pointed out. Well, no, but we've told him about some of the things you've been doing. The confusion. He thinks an evaluation will show that some assistance would be beneficial. Marcus reached across the table for my hand. Dad, we love you. We just want what's best for you. There it was. Phase 2. On camera, audio crystal clear. Both of them admitting they'd already discussed having me declared incompetent before any evaluation had taken place. Conspiracy to commit guardianship fraud. I let my face crumple a bit. I'm not losing my mind, am I? No, Dad, no. But Marcus's eyes said something different. His eyes said, yes, and we're counting on it. Maybe you're right, I said quietly. Maybe I do need help. It's been so hard since your mother died. After they left, I stood at my window and watched their car pull away. Watched the taillights disappear down the street. Then I picked up my phone. You get all that? I asked. Every word, Linda said. Gerald, this is solid. Very solid. With the wire transfer tomorrow, we can move. Not yet, I said. I want to see Dr. Reeves. I want him on record. That's risky, Detective Chen said. If he signs off on an incompetency finding, he won't, because I'm going to record that session too. And when I walk out of there with a clean bill of health, despite whatever Marcus paid him to say otherwise, we'll have him on fraud charges too. You're sure about this? Tom asked. Once that money moves, it's insured. And more importantly, the movement of funds is the final piece of evidence we need. Wire fraud is federal. FBI will take the case, which means more resources, better prosecution. Trust me, I've built a few of these cases in my time. Friday morning, Marcus picked me up at 9. I'd dressed carefully neat, but not too neat. I'd skipped shaving and forgotten to comb my hair properly. Made myself look older, more confused. Dr. Reeves's office was in a medical building in Green Hills, all glass and steel and expensive art. The waiting room had leather chairs and a water feature that probably cost more than my first car. Mr. Patterson, lovely to meet you, Doctor. Reeves was 50, fit, with salt and pepper hair and an expensive watch. Marcus has told me so much about you. Has he? I said flatly. The evaluation took 90 minutes. Memory tests, cognitive assessments, questions about my daily life and decision-making abilities. I answered everything honestly, which seemed to frustrate Dr. Reeves. I could see it in the way his pen paused on his notepad, the slight tightening around his eyes. Mr. Patterson, Marcus mentioned, you've been having some confusion lately. Forgetting things, making impulsive financial decisions. Did he? I said. Funny, I don't remember being confused. But then, I guess I wouldn't, would I? If I was confused? He didn't smile. Tell me about this Florida investment. What about it? Do you understand what you're investing in? Luxury condos in Tampa Bay. Pre-construction phase. Mitchell Development Group. I recited the details perfectly, watched his face fall. My son recommended it. Marcus has always been good with money. And you're planning to invest $300,000. That's correct. Does that seem like a lot of money to you? It is a lot of money. But I spent 30 years with the FBI. My pension is generous, I have good savings, and my wife's life insurance was substantial. I can afford it. The question is whether it's a wise investment. His pen stopped moving. Mr. Patterson, I have to ask, do you think your son has your best interests at heart? Why would you ask that? Just from a psychological perspective. Sometimes family dynamics can complicate financial decisions. I leaned forward. Dr. Reeves, are you asking me if I think my son is trying to steal from me? I'm asking if you've considered all angles of this investment. Oh, I've considered every angle. I was an investigator, Doctor. I'm very good at considering angles. The session ended with Dr. Reeves looking distinctly uncomfortable. I'll send my evaluation to Marcus in a few days, he said. And what will it say? That will depend on my analysis of our session today. Will it say I'm competent to manage my own affairs? He met my eyes, and I saw the calculation there. How much had Marcus paid him? What was he willing to risk? I'll be in touch, he said. Outside, Marcus was waiting in his car. How'd it go? Fine, I said. He asked a lot of questions. Good. That's thorough. Now, we should head to the bank. Get that wire transfer sorted out. The bank was quiet, just a few other customers at the teller windows. Marcus walked me to a desk where a young banker, Jennifer, according to her nameplate, pulled up my account. Mr. Patterson, good morning. I understand you'd like to make a wire transfer? $300,000 to Mitchell Development Group, Marcus said, sliding the authorization form across the desk. All the details are there. Jennifer studied the form, then looked at me. Sir, this is a significant amount. I need to verify you understand the transaction and authorize it voluntarily. It's for an investment, I said. In Florida, my son is helping me with it. I see. She turned to her computer. The account you're wiring to, it's registered in the Cayman Islands. Marcus shifted. That's standard for international real estate investment, tax purposes. Is it? I said. I didn't know that. Seems odd for a Tampa development. Dad, it's fine. I've explained all this. You know what, Jennifer? Before we proceed, could you pull up the company registration for Mitchell Development Group? I'd like to see who owns it. Dad, it's $300,000, Marcus. Humor and old man. Jennifer typed, frowned, typed more. Sir, I'm not finding a registered business entity by that name in Florida. Or anywhere in the United States, actually. It's probably under a different name, Marcus said quickly. A parent company or something. What's the parent company called? I asked. I'd have to check with James. Why don't you call him? I'll wait. I watched my son's face change. Saw him understand, finally, that something was wrong. His hand went to his phone, hesitated. Actually, you know what? Maybe we should wait on this. Do some more research. He started gathering the paperwork. No, I said quietly. I don't think we should wait. Jennifer, could you please call security? I need to report an attempted fraud. Marcus went pale. Dad, what are you? I know about Mitchell Development Group. I know there's no real investment. I know about Phase 2 and Dr. Reeves and your plan to have me declared incompetent. I kept my voice steady, professional. I've known since Monday. I've recorded everything. Every conversation, every document, every lie. You're confused. Detective Sarah Chen from the Nashville PD is waiting outside. So is my attorney. The FBI will be joining shortly because wire fraud across state lines is federal. I've spent the last 4 days building a case against you. Marcus stared at me, and for a moment I saw my son again. My little boy. The one who'd fallen off his bike and I'd patched up. The one who'd been so proud when I'd made him a detective badge out of cardboard for Halloween. You're my father, he whispered. I know, I said. And you tried to rob me. Tried to steal my dignity, my independence, my money. You brought me to a doctor you'd paid to declare me incompetent. You created fake investment documents. You planned this for months, maybe years. And you made me think you actually cared again. That's when Detective Chen walked through the door, followed by Tom and Linda. Marcus looked at them, at me, at the banker, who was backing away from the desk. Dad, please, we can fix this. We can. You have the right to remain silent, Chen said, and started reading him his Miranda rights. They arrested Stephanie at their house an hour later. Dr. Reeves, by the end of the day, after Linda presented the recording of him discussing payment from Marcus for a predetermined evaluation result. The real James Mitchell, Marcus's college friend, was horrified to learn his name had been used. He testified willingly. The trial took 6 months. Marcus got 8 years. Stephanie got 6. Dr. Reeves lost his medical license and got 3 years for his role. The money they'd already taken from me turns out there'd been smaller investments I'd made over the past year. $50,000 here, $20,000 there. Most of it was recovered. I sold the house in Nashville. Too many memories, both good and bad. Moved to a condo in Asheville, up in the mountains where Emma and I had always talked about retiring. I spend my days hiking, reading, volunteering at the local community center, where I teach seniors about financial fraud protection. Turns out I have a lot to share on that subject. Do I miss my son? Every day. But I don't miss the man he became. The man who saw his father as a mark, an asset to be liquidated, a problem to be managed. That man was a stranger who happened to share my last name. Last week, I got a letter from Marcus. First communication since the sentencing. It was short. Dad, I know I can never fix what I did. I was desperate and angry and greedy. Stephanie and I had debts you didn't know about. I convinced myself you had more than you needed, that you'd never miss it, that I was owed it somehow for all the times you chose work over family. I was wrong about all of it. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I'm sorry, and I finally understand the man you always tried to teach me to be. I'm working on becoming that man now, even if it's too late. Love, Marcus. I've read it maybe 100 times. Haven't responded yet. Don't know if I will. Here's what I do know. Family isn't just blood. It's trust. It's respect. It's showing up not because you want something, but because you care. My son forgot that. Maybe he'll remember it again someday. Maybe when he gets out, we'll talk. Maybe we won't. But I've learned something these past months. I'm not lonely anymore. Because I found my own family. Linda calls every Sunday. Tom and I go fishing every other week. Sarah stops by when she's in Asheville visiting her parents. I volunteer with other seniors who've been targeted by their own families, who know what it's like to realize the people who should protect you are the ones you need protection from. And every morning, I wake up in my mountain condo. I make Emma's favorite coffee, and I look out at the sunrise over the Blue Ridge Mountains. I think about what she would say if she were here. She'd probably tell me I did the right thing. She'd also tell me to leave the door open, just a crack, for Marcus to find his way back. So maybe I'll write him back. Maybe I'll say that 8 years is a long time, long enough to become someone different, long enough to mean that apology. And maybe when he gets out, we'll meet for coffee. We'll talk. We'll see who he is by then. But I won't be naive again. Won't be so desperate for family that I ignore the warning signs. Won't confuse loneliness with love or attention with affection. I spent 30 years learning how to spot a con. Turned out the most important case I ever worked was the one where I was both the investigator and the victim, where I had to choose between being a father and being a fool. I chose to be neither. I chose to be Gerald Patterson, retired FBI agent, who knew that the worst betrayals come from the people closest to us, and that sometimes the only way to save yourself is to let them face the consequences of their choices. Justice isn't always pretty, but it's necessary, even when it breaks your heart, especially then. And here's the thing nobody tells you about betrayal. You survive it. Not the absence of betrayal. That's not possible. We all get betrayed eventually, in big ways or small. But the ability to survive it, to gather evidence, to protect yourself, to walk away when you need to, that's power. That's what I learned at 67 years old. Better late than never.